Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Tiffany.
To some, we could be called career wizards.
And to others, sometimes we seem like therapists. However, we definitely are not.
But for you, we are the co-hosts of the Career Boosters podcast.
I always think to networking is kind of like a muscle. So if you want to build muscle, you go to the gym on a frequent basis. And if you don't, you kind of lose that muscle. So the same thing with networking. If you network maybe twice a year, go to 2 networking events, then it's going to be awkward. Like you have to get in rhythm.
Hello and welcome to the Career Boosters podcast, season 3, episode 16 for the second time. Last week I called that episode 16 and it was really 15. I made a mistake and here we are. The world is still going on and still moving. This week in class, we had a very special guest join us as our special guest lecturer, and they taught and went through a class on networking, and specifically networking from a corporate perspective. A special shout out to Andrea Diacampo, the guest that we had come and teach our class, and she is going to be a future podcast guest on the Career Boosters. And so we are very excited to welcome one of our students that was in the class with us today, Jordan Myers. Networking is a word that we find MBA students and master students in general in business really struggle with. Um, when we think about going to these events that could be 1,000 people in a room, or when we think about going to all of these, can be very intimidating. And I think at the end of the day, it can be a roadblock, but it doesn't need to be. So what networking really is building relationships. And we do that every day with all of our family members, with our friends, with the people in our classes, with our colleagues. All of that is networking. And I think Andrea did a great job at looking at that, and we try to talk about that with students all the time. So with Jordan Myers today, we're very excited to dive into the world of networking. And I would call Jordan one of the best networkers in our class. People look for him when they get into class. He is constantly shaking hands. He is constantly asking people how they're doing. And I mean, what better relationship building skills can you have? Other than that, which is really beautiful. So, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. And the first question we have is, what's the story behind your decision to embark on an MBA journey?
Yes, thank you, Paul, for that intro, and thank you, Tiffany, as well, for having me on this great podcast. It's been long awaited, much anticipated, so I'm finally happy to kind of grace my presence on this podcast. So, firstly, thank you for that. In terms of my decision for this MBA, it was something out of necessity, I would say. I remember February 22nd of last year, I happened to be at the open house at the U of A, and it gave me a really good vibe and a good idea of like what class would be like, and there actually happened to be like a mock class there as well, and I just could visualize myself in the MBA classrooms as well. I always had an idea for the MBA since my undergrad. So I have a Bachelor of Commerce undergrad from McEwen University with a major in marketing and a minor in finance. So I always had that idea of getting that MBA. If I kind of look back a few years in my undergrad, I did have it on my vision board. So it was something that I knew I wanted to work towards, but I didn't know when exactly. In terms of when I wanted to go after it, I wanted to at least have some work experience first. So after I graduated with my degree, I spent some time in marketing and also had some time in sales as well. So with those 2 avenues, I felt like I had a good gap between the academic life to work life to coming back to the academic life. So it was something that I always wanted to do, and I just felt like the time was right, and I just felt like University of Alberta was the best place to commit my talents and compete at the highest academic level while building my network at the same time.
That's awesome. We're so glad that you chose the U of A, and you've certainly made a difference in this 6 months that you've been here, both for Tiffany and I as lecturers and facilitators and career coaches, but also for the students that you impact every day as well, which is awesome. I've been adding this in season 3, this question around 6 months into this MBA program. What's been your favorite part so far?
Wow, it's hard to encapsulate it into just one part because there's so many great parts. I know like the cliche thing to say is the people, but it is the truth. I mean, it's great to meet people that are very supportive and very helpful and willing to guide you on the right path. And I feel like iron sharpens iron. I feel like being a part of this program, like my overall idea of being smart has changed because I see smart in such a different way in everybody. So it just gives you like an ability to sharpen your talents, and it's just been great overall. In terms of just being part of the student body and being a part of an active member in a few clubs, including the MBA Association, a Net Impact, and the MBA Finance Club, I just came in with a mindset that I just want to say yes to as many things as possible. Obviously, watch my bandwidth and everything, but I wanted to be open to new ideas and open to trying new things. And being an active part of the student body was one of my main goals. So I feel like I was able to accomplish that in a short 6 months. And I feel like it was one of the best 6 months I've had, and just got to keep building momentum off of it.
Hmm. So, Jordan, you talked about the cliche of people, and sure, cliche in that it's often referenced, but you referenced it actually in a way that I haven't heard yet, and that is you said iron sharpens iron. I love that, but you related it to your colleagues, your peers, your MBA cohort is a big part of what sharpens you. So if we think
Yeah.
about the MBA, we often think it's classes and professors and all these other things that are going to sharpen us, obviously, from an MBA. Ha, but you just pointed out, yeah, but each other, we sharpen each other. We are
Hmm.
smart in different ways. And what a brilliant framing actually for networking. How can you widen your circle in a way that allows you to be sharpened by other people and
Hmm.
allows you to sharpen other people? And that is such a beautiful framing.
Hmm.
So on that, let's talk about networking because you're a
Okay.
fast track student. So we haven't mentioned that,
Yes.
I don't think
Oh
yet. So
yeah.
it means
True.
that you have a year, right, in the
Mhm.
MBA where a lot in your cohort have 2 years.
Mhm.
Sometimes that can also mean for fast track students, that's half the time to do the networking in.
True.
So tell me about your impression of networking. What do you think of it? How comfortable are you with it, especially knowing you have half the time as some of the
True.
people that you're with?
True. Well, I feel like with my every conversation I have or every networking opportunity, I'm more intentional with it. I feel like after a while, I always think to networking is kind of like a muscle. So if you want to build muscle, you go to the gym on a frequent basis. And if you don't, you kind of lose that muscle. So the same thing with networking. If you network maybe twice a year, go to two networking events, then it's going to be awkward. Like you have to get in rhythm and go to some networking event as consistently as possible. So being able to be placed in a situation where you're constantly meeting new people and networking and learning new things, it takes the fright or the trepidation out of it because you're in that situation so much that you know your elevator pitch, you know which ways you can provide value, and you know which way to direct the conversation. And everybody is there to learn more or learn from you. So in terms of networking within a 1 year basis, I feel like it was one of the things that I had on my goals to make sure that I effectively was able to network. In my undergrad, I didn't network as much as I probably should have, but now coming to my master's, I understand the power of networking, how to build a network, and how to bring people together. And I want to be viewed as a connector as well. So you want to connect people. So that's one way to provide value, is being a connector and making sure that you find value in every conversation and find a way to get something out of it. So you want to make it a mutual relationship. You don't want to just be taking from people and not providing anything. So you want to make sure that on the other hand, you may get something from this, but they also may get something as well. So I just
Yeah.
have to find a way to constantly build off every conversation and talk as well. So yeah.
Yeah. That's so awesome that you look at it in that way. And I think Andrea, who was our guest lecturer, talked a lot about that, right? It's about what can you offer them as well. And I think students are so wrapped up in, well, you can network, but you can't network to get a job, but you can network and you got to do all of these things and build relationships. And it doesn't have to be this networking to find a job. It could be sharing a simple article. It could be connecting somebody with someone else, right? It's, in the instance of having Andrea teach that class, that actually came through a connection through another MBA MBA student that said, "Oh, you got to meet this person. They're awesome, right?" And what a cool thing. And when we think about it, Jordan, really networking is just building relationships in a way that is very authentic or in the best way possible for yourself. Has your perception of networking changed a little bit since you've been in this MBA program?
Yes, 100% it's changed. I mean, networking for some people, it's very polarizing. It's either yes, you like it or no, you do not. So some people can see it as transactional and some people can see it as a can't miss opportunity. So it's the same with whether the glass is half full or half empty. So you have to be able to change your perception at first and then look and see what is the positives out of this. How can I perfect my soft skills? Because a lot of people have a lot of technical skills, but those soft skills are what gets you elevated in certain places. So you want to understand, just like we had that class in last semester from both you, Paul and Tiffany. When you said either you focus on your weaknesses or you strengthen your strengths. So you want to come from a position of strengthening the strengths and be able to expand yourself in a way that it will push you forward.
Yeah, we talk about soft skills. We often like to reframe them to people skills or human skills, right? There's nothing soft because we view soft as sometimes lesser than. Human skills are some of the hardest skills, right? And you think about the anxiety that people often have going to a networking event, and that is people, right? There's a lot of anxiety that sits there. And the reps, I love how you talked about that, Jordan. The reps that we need to put in
Mhm.
so that the way we interact with people gets stronger. And one of the best ways to do that is to network in a way that is authentic to you. And we love metaphor. I love that you brought it in. So the gym, we know people that the gym is a lifestyle, right? It is
Uh-huh.
just part of their DNA. It's how they choose to be healthy, or just being healthy is part of their lifestyle. It may not be the gym, it might be something else, but it is part of who they are at their core. And we know people that go to the gym now in January because it's a New Year's resolution.
Sure.
And about February 1st, it like falls right off. Right. So it's not a lifestyle. It's
Mhm.
no different networking. So I'm curious, you talked about having an intentional approach to networking.
Mhm.
How have you done it? Give me a few examples how you started off the MBA, what did networking look like, and is it going to look any different in your final 6 months, or is it all the same?
Um, Well, as the more conversations you have, I feel like the better you get, the more you know how to navigate yourself. So depending on who I speak to, maybe if it's a new student, I say, "Where did you go for your undergrad?" or "What was your major in?" And then you can understand certain concepts of where to navigate the conversation. Is this your first semester? What are some of your favorite classes you've taken? What's one thing you wish you would have done differently? So you have to kind of look and know how to angle the particular conversation, whether you go high level of what would you do differently or what has been the best part of the experience, or you actually know a little bit about the topic. So say if it's engineering, what was if the major was engineering, I could say, what was the dedication like, or how are you finding the transition over to business now? So you just have to kind of just know a little bit about everything or just kinda know a little bit about, like, the past conversations you've had and know how to navigate and maneuver it in a way that you're just trying to break down a barrier is how I see networking. So everybody has their front up, when you first meet them, but then as soon as you realize that there's many commonalities that we have between each other, that's when you start to break it down and realize they're just people, and, sometimes people don't like to, uh, be known by just their title. They're more than an engineer, or they're more than a HR person. They're more than what they are. So you just got to find some commonalities, and we're more similar with people than we think. Even though when we first meet them, we feel like we may have nothing in common.
Yeah. The thing I love about that statement, Jordan, is like you have to show and demonstrate curiosity. I think, I've been around for a long time helping MBA students, and I would call you one of the most curious MBA students I have seen in this
Mm.
program. And that allows
Thank you.
you to just be a better networker because you're just curious about people, about things. You just, and I love the fact that you just want to ask some questions and you get to know people a little bit more. When I think about networking and something that really gets in people's way, it's the dreaded like going up and starting small talk. So it's the conversation that usually has something to do about the weather or the local sports club or something like that. What is your go-to or what are your go-to topics for small talk?
Well, the go-to topics with small talk, I mean, I personally try and avoid the weather, but I try and talk more about books. Like I like to read a lot, so I kind of say, what's one book that's been able to impact you, uh, or what's one book that you're currently reading, or I kind of look to the knowledge and the academia side of things, and then I kind of understand like. Another good question to ask maybe all MBAs, or if I'm talking to an industry professional, um, what current industry are you in, or what current industry do you hope to get into? And then that opens up the ability to kind of open the conversation, and it's like an opening chess move. Like it's just a good way to start, and then you kind of have to react from there and kind of push the conversation forward.
Yeah, your use of metaphors, Paul and I are like, yes, because without an opening chess move, so anybody who plays chess, the rest of the game is dependent on your opening move quite often. Like it sets you up for moves way down the game.
Mhm,
So does small talk. I don't
mhm,
think I've ever framed it this way for anybody before, but it's brilliant. You
mhm,
have to open up the conversation in a way that sets you up for the rest of the conversation, and small talk does that.
mhm,
Everybody figures it's pointless and it's stupid and it's surface level. If you look at it as an opening chess move, if you look at it as the way to find the mutual connections, you have set up this conversation and relationship for like the long term.
mhm,
So brilliant. It is an opening strategic move. Learn how to do it. It's a move that many people see you be really good at. So
mhm.
you are known, whether you realize it or not, you are known in your cohort as someone who is really great at networking and as someone that people like to bring with them as
Okay.
like a mentor or a wing person, a sidekick,
Mhm,
something. And this happens. So you and Paul are coach and coachee. You and I don't interact much, but here's where I hear your name.
mhm.
I talk with my coachees and they're like, I don't know if I want to go to that event. I'm like, well, could you go with someone? Like, would that help? I kid you not, probably 5 times my students have been like, yeah, I could take Jordan. I was like, yeah, you could. You could take Jordan. What's that like to be known as someone who people want to take to like support them in this area?
Well, I would say that's a good vote of confidence from the cohort. It's good to hear such kind words from people in the cohort, but it's yeah, I mean, I just have a lot of passion for networking and just passion in meeting people. If you look at my Clifton strengths, I have the Woo Clifton strength, so I love the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over, and I just get a little bit of satisfaction from having a good conversation with people. And in terms of networking, you're in a room sometimes of 30 to 40 people, but if you have that one solid conversation, or maybe 1 to 3 solid conversations, then you feel like it's a win, and then you feel like you it was worthwhile. So it's more about quantity over quality, and just making sure that you're able to come from a unique perspective. And sometimes you have the ability to kind of see who's going to be at a particular networking event if it's an industry professional, so kind of learn more about their story. Treat it like it's of importance, which it is, but just take some time out of your day to kind of prepare for it, and be willing to ask some good questions. And people like to tell their story, and people like to talk about themselves as well. So when it's from a point of strength, just be able to uh, know that it's something that they're not nervous about or anything. So when you
Mhm.
talk from something that you know, they like to talk more, and make sure you remember the people's names as well, because they'll be
Yeah.
surprised. And I think that's one of my skills as well. I happen to be really good with people's names as well by
Yeah.
just meeting them. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. It's such a skill. There's evidence that says like if you can use a person's name, they automatically start to trust you more because you have remembered what their name is. And it's something I notice you do often. I try to do this in every interaction with everybody. It's when if you and I are having a coaching conversation, be like, Jordan, what do you think about this? And it just is like the help of building that trust, which is beautiful. I'd like to hear from you. If you have a quick little story, networking success story, and maybe a quick little networking fumble that you may have had recently.
Well, the quick networking success story is being able to have the confidence to follow up with people. I mean, uh, saying that you want to have a coffee chat with someone and following through. I mean, that's an extension of your personal brand and living up to your word, because you don't want to have empty promises with people, because that also can be a reflection of your brand as well. So you just want to make sure that you are able to find a way that you can be successful in that conversation for that person. Make it worth their time. Make sure that you are on time for the networking. Make sure you come up with some questions prepared and don't just go with the flow all the time. I mean, you can, but just have a little bit of structure to the conversation. And if you're going on a coffee chat with someone as well, just like you both said, Tiffany and Paul, you said to at least offer to pay for their coffee as well, or or as a ode to for them to come out and hang out with you. But that's also good. In terms of fumbling, I don't necessarily think I've fumbled recently in terms of networking. I can't really think of any like negative interactions or things that I wish I could have done better with networking at the present time. But if there is, I'll definitely come back on the podcast and let you guys know and be fully transparent about it.
So if we can, let's that fumble thing. I just want to poke this one on all of us. So yes,
Sure.
a fumble. We often think it's, oh my god, I put my foot in my mouth. Like they're gonna think I'm an idiot. We think that
Mhm.
that's the fumble. But let's go with just how about being anxious or a little bit nervous in a networking environment? Who's been nervous going to a networking environment?
Sure.
Paul, yeah, okay, so all three of us. Cool, great. Sometimes that feels like a fumble, like we're too nervous, or our hands are
Mm,
shaking, or like we're sweating. That people are just gonna like. I went to one last week and I had to give myself a timeout. I'm
mm,
a relatively outgoing person. I go to
mm.
networking events. I got overwhelmed and I like backed up in the room and I sat there. I even crossed my arms and I was like, Tiff, just breathe.
Mhm.
Like it happens to all of us and we often feel like it's a fumble. And I'd actually point out that maybe it's not. It's kind of
True.
normal.
Yeah, and to add
Yeah.
on, I guess maybe that was maybe me in my first networking events at first. Like sometimes when you go to by yourself by these events, it's a bold thing to do, and it's
Yeah.
not the realm. So when you go by yourself and you don't see anybody you know, it can be a really ostracizing feeling. So
Mhm.
and a feeling of isolation. So you just have to kind of lean into it. Just realize, yes, this is uncomfortable, but you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable to get to where you
Mhm.
want to go, and eventually you're going to gain confidence the more times you do the networking or the more times you put yourself out there, and eventually
Mhm.
you're going to be wondering, why didn't I do this earlier? So
Mm.
that's the way I look at it.
Cool. And that sounds like brilliant advice to kind of end on for our last question. I'll see if there's anything else, but if there's a
Okay.
piece of advice, that was a great one. Is there
Mhm.
anything else you want to offer to people who are struggling to turn this into the lifestyle, right? To be the person who just going to the gym is something really just part of who you are. What would you say to those people?
Wow. To those people that are having struggles with networking, or maybe it doesn't come
Mm,
naturally,
mhm,
just start with going with a friend or someone you know already. I mean, that will also help break the ice, and maybe
mhm.
just focus on. Usually, if I am at a networking event and I already know someone there, maybe don't pair up with them. But
Mm,
maybe in your early days, maybe start to pair up with them and start a conversation with someone, and kind of act as their wing person at first and kind of introduce them or find some commonalities between each other, and then the more that you get confident, kind of split up from the net from both of each other, and then look around the room to see if there's anybody else you'd like to meet, and try to make it worth your while, and just realize that everybody at first is nervous in networking, and eventually you'll get to a point if you stay true to yourself and keep at it, then it'll be good for you.
mhm,
And take some notes on people in terms of networking. If you have a really good conversation, maybe write down in your
mhm,
phone what went really well, or like if you have them at your top of your mind, maybe write them down, or just take some notes about people that you had positive interactions with, and maybe
mhm.
remember to add them on LinkedIn after, or make sure you send a voice note, which I heard from Andrea
Ah,
in that. So that was something new. So just find a
mhm.
way to kind of stand out in your networking approach, and make sure it's a good interaction, and just keep looking to add value.
Love it. Those are all beautiful tips. And I will also point out that AI can be a beautiful CRM. So if you want to
True.
take notes on stuff, AI and voice to text is now a really great way to create your
Mhm.
own CRM without having to actually have one. So cool. All right,
Yes.
Jordan, we really could keep chatting. You are
True.
brilliant at chatting.
Yeah.
However, we have to move on to a lightning round. You ready?
Sure.
Cool. Three quick questions, three gut answers. What
Okay.
is it about your career story that has given you the biggest boost?
My authenticity, being
Mm,
able to relate to people in a short amount of time, and my passion and energy, and
mhm,
being inquisitive has been able to get me to where I am.
mhm. What do you wish you'd learned sooner?
Um, what I wish I learned sooner is how good I am at networking. I
Mm,
didn't realize I was, to be honest, until I got into this program. And I feel like after the 4 days of orientation and then having that event at Carruthers, you realize that you really set the tone with what this degree is
mhm,
about. It's about the academics for sure, but also to it's a social degree as well, and find a
mm.
way to leverage that. So that's what I also noticed.
Oh, we need to add that. It's a social degree. I like that.
Mhm.
All right. Serving others. Service is always something that we like to end with. So, how is service going to show up for you in the coming week?
Yes. So, ironically, I am hosting a MBA Association event happening on Friday, February 6th. Sorry for the shameless plug, but
No,
uh,
plug away.
yeah, true. It is a networking event followed by the Golden Bears hockey night. So it gives everybody a chance to meet some people you probably may not have seen before, and it gives a way to sharpen your networking skills. So I felt
Mhm.
like it's very fitting to kick off the semester with this opportunity, and I hope to see the MBA cohort and also the MMA cohort there.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jordan. All right, Paul, you're up. Paul's random question.
What a wonderful way to kind of connect with your fellow colleagues with such a low risk, low kind of professional environment. I love that. I love when it's attached to varsity athletics because I think there's so many commonalities of sport and business and all of these kinds of things, which is wonderful.
Mhm.
Jordan, there was a question that we didn't get to in this meeting, and I actually think that networking isn't just done in person, it's done virtually as well.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear from you. What are your intentions around using LinkedIn as a networking tool? That's my question to you. I could ask you 100 questions about sports or books or whatever,
True,
but I
true.
love the presence that you have on LinkedIn is really neat. So I'd love to hear from you just quickly about that.
Yeah, so ever since I started the MBA, I felt like part of my personal brand or my personal brand strategy would be that I would post on LinkedIn. I feel it gives me the ability to reach out to my whole network without having to reach out individually. So it gives updates how I'm doing during my MBA journey without having to individually do it, and it just gives me some reach. So in doing that, I'm just posting updates about my journey, whether it's participating in case competitions, whether it's my first day of the MBA program, whether this how the semester went. Just using it as a tool to interact with people, and I feel like it's LinkedIn is more about posting your professional self and also your true self, and trying to get that to meet in the middle is what I'm noticing is what the goal of LinkedIn for me is. And yeah, I just want to connect with some great professionals on LinkedIn and use it as an extension of my personal brand. And I hope to yeah, keep doing that.
I think there's many topics, in fact, we could have you as a guest to talk about. LinkedIn would have been another one for sure, and there's other ones coming up, but you were top of mind when we thought about networking. There is, and I would say that your cohort and your colleagues would say the exact same thing because this is an area of talent of yours that so many others see and so many others are inspired by and so many others kind of wish they had. And so thank you for sharing your magic with us because it really is magical to watch you put your authentic self out there. There are not many students that certainly ask as many questions as you do, which is A, that's great, but ask questions. You've asked me one or two questions in class where I've gone, I need to think about that for a second. And I think quick on my feet, right? So for
Mm,
you to be able to ask questions where people are truly like needing to use their brain and heart is really cool.
mhm.
And what an example you set for others in so many ways, but certainly in this one. So thank
Oh,
you for being an
thank you.
example. Thank you for being somebody that we can kind of point to when we talk about networking and, giving people ideas of kind of what to aspire to. We appreciate that. We appreciate you. And thanks for sprinkling that in with us in the podcast.
Yes, thank you. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. All right, key takeaways. He talked about one that is another soapbox that I find myself on. I say I don't have many, and I don't, but I've now just talked about two of mine in the last little while, last two podcasts actually. But one of them is small talk, and it is the bad rep that small talk gets. People hate it, and everybody's mindset is that it's awful, and it's just this soapbox that I crawl on of if you think it's awful, that's all you're ever going to see, and you are missing what he noted as the strategic opening move. Small talk is the chess opening move that sets up the rest of the game. Small talk is no different. And so how can we like rattle people and be like, small talk is important, and there's a way to do it that isn't cringy, and there's a way to do it that is actually valuable. And I desperately wish people could reframe small talk, and I loved the chess analogy, and I'm stealing it. So that was my key moment for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well. And as someone who likes to ask different questions, I think the weather stinks to talk about. Please don't do that.
It's not Paul's favorite topic. So if you're small talking with Paul, please don't talk about the weather.
Weather is not fun. There are many things that when I talk to Jordan just on a regular basis, and now that I've heard him talk in this episode, just so many unique kind of ways to look at things. And the one that I appreciated the most is just networking is a muscle. You need to spend time to work on it. A lot of people think, 6 months before I graduate, I'm going to just start to network like crazy. Well, you've already started networking with your colleagues. How do you just grow that a little bit more organically and a little bit sooner? Because the work of the muscle of networking and building relationships takes time, and you need that time. And the more you force it, then you're going to get injured. And if you get injured, then the job doesn't come. So I think that the earlier you can realize that building relationships is important, the sooner you're going to have better success building that muscle of networking and building relationships.
Brilliant. And again, another metaphor. This might be the record for a number of metaphors in an episode. So love it. Yeah. When we had some stories in this podcast, but next week is all about storytelling. So there hopefully should be even more, and a really fun special guest from our part-time cohort to talk all things storytelling. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Career Boosters podcast. We hope you had a blast. Yeah, we know that's corny. Catch you next time, and remember to subscribe wherever you enjoy podcasts.